Hey guys, it's Yankee Prepper. Today I'd like to take you through a rebuild project on a traditional black powder Thompson center rifle. When I first got it, it was in pretty bad shape. Now I've shot black powder before, but I've always wanted a traditional Hawken rifle, especially a top-of-the-line Thompson center Hawken rifle. The problem is, they're $800 or $900 new, and that's just for a basic model. I've seen them on Arms List and Gunbroker for $450, $500, and they usually move pretty quick. I got this one for $75, but there was a catch. It was in terrible condition. But I thought it had Yankee Prepper Do-It-Yourself written all over it. So I picked it up. And this is really where having the right tools and all that practice of doing things yourself comes in handy. And I have to tell you, this is worth a lot more to me now, having done this myself, rather than paying $800 or $900 for a new one. And this will last the rest of my life. And I didn't buy this for some end-of-the-world doomsday scenario. I didn't buy this to waste my money for it to sit on a shelf somewhere. I've actually got this on my wall. But the main reason I bought this is because it will allow me 4 more weeks of hunting and an extra deer hopefully this fall. Anyway, enjoy the vid. This was a lot of fun. I'm real happy with it, and I can't wait to get out there and go hunting with it as well. All the brass was in pretty bad shape. These 3 pieces especially were probably a step above raw sand-casted brass. You can actually see the rough sanding that they did just to kind of smooth it out. This was about 20 minutes of work yesterday with just a Dremel. I tried a few different methods, but the best way that I found to shape these things up was just to take some 400 grit round little detail sander on the Dremel and take out the big grooves first, slightly sanding it. The Dremel just takes all the grunt work out of this. All the rough grooves, sanding grooves are gone. Now I can start to polish it up. All this being pretty basic really, I've got an assorted array of different polishing discs and compounds. Once I'm done with the 400 grit sanding, I'll go to a finer abrasive wheel to polish it up a little more, and then incrementally just keep going up to finer and finer until I get to the polish. Once I'm done with the rougher abrasive discs, I'll go to a buffing pad and a little bit of polishing compound. Just a little bit on the pad itself. So in about 15 minutes I can go from a very rough grooved sanded brass to this. And of course that's not, finished in my mind, but I wanted to give you an idea how easy it is with the right tools. After applying the Dremel polishing compound one more time, I'm up to this level. I'm starting to get a reflection, looking pretty good. So that's about as far as I can go with that. I switch over to a smaller polishing head and a different compound called Autosol Metal Polish. Used to use it on all my motorcycles and it works great. I'm going to give this a shot on the brass. I finished up with one more polish of the Autosol Metal Polish, and that's what I ended up with. That's more like what I'm used to seeing on the Thompson Center Hawken. I love the look of this piece and the hardening, the colors that the hardening puts in with the purples and blues, and there's not a scratch in it. So I just oiled that up. I'm going to move on to the barrel now. The barrel's had a browning put on it, which is correct for the time period. There's a lot of, the uniform look of it is pretty much gone. There's stains in it and different shades of where the oil is soaked in or where oil was left on. So I'm going to strip this and see what's underneath all these stains and see if I can get it to be one uniform color again. If I have to, I will re-brown it. I do like the browning on these barrels, or to brown the barrels over bluing them, just because of the time period of the rifle. I'm using a very light sanding disc that Dremel makes, and it is stripping that barrel down to the base really easy. You can see the difference. I like the look of the raw barrel as well. I'm going to keep stripping this down and see how it looks in the end and decide from there. This turned out great, and the Dremel again just made really easy work of this. The barrel is in great shape. You know, it's exactly what I thought when I looked it over. Like, there were hardly any scratches in it, and the few scratches that were in it I was able to easily take out. So the barrel's just in perfect condition. I'm going to move on to the stock. I haven't decided how I'm going to seal that barrel up yet, but right now I'm just going to go on to the stock. It again has shallow imperfections on it, a few scratches. I'm just going to shape it up and then throw some oil on it. This is really coming together really nice and really easy. Using 100 grit and a palm sander, I was able to clean this one side up pretty nice and get it bone smooth. So I'm just going to finish it up here and then pick out a nice stain for it. So I moved on to 150 grit. I'm just going to keep working my way down the line. I'll move on to 200 after this, and then eventually 400. Now, after sanding with 200 grit, I'll take a damp cloth and raise the grains. This will help me see where I've missed any spots. While it's still damp, I'll take the 400 grit and just go over this while it's still wet. Okay, I'm down to the decision on what am I going to seal this stock with. We're done sanding it down, and considering the era that this gun was designed in, I could really leave only two choices to myself. That's either tung oil or boiled linseed oil. These two finishes or oils have been used for literally hundreds of years to seal gun stocks. Now, there's a lot of discussion on the differences between these two, and I'm going to try to just put this in a nutshell with you. There's no discussion that which one is better because they're both excellent finishes. But this should put it in a nutshell for you. These are three gun stocks that I finished prior, and these two are World War II, maybe 1950s era military rifles. And with those, you want a low luster. You don't want a high shine on military rifles. The third one here is an old 1950s Winchester double barrel shotgun, and I also finished that with a low luster because it's just your basic get the job done shotgun. So all three of these are low luster shines. And when I want a low luster, good sealant, I use tung oil. I use it on marine wood as well because I don't want it to reflect back in the sun when I'm out on the water. But if I want a high luster shine, I use boiled linseed oil. It'll definitely give you a shinier finish than tung oil. And for this Hawken, that's going to be perfect because it's got shiny brass and shiny metal. It's kind of a shiny rifle. So we're going to back it up with a high luster shine using linseed oil. One of the main differences though is the drying time. Tung oil definitely dries a lot quicker and it doesn't remain sticky. You know, after it's dry, it is completely dry. It doesn't remain tacky in any way. Boiled linseed oil takes a lot longer to dry, weeks, sometimes even months to dry. And if it's not completely dry and you take it out in the sun on a hot day, it'll get sticky again. A lot of guys do not understand that about this oil. It takes a while to dry, but once done, leaves a great finish. I am months away from black powder season here. Any chance of me putting this to any heavy use? So this will have plenty of time to put on maybe 4, maybe even 5 coats of this linseed oil and let them dry right. Now, unlike painting, the first coat of oil that I put on, I really like to put it on heavy and let it soak in. Tell me that doesn't look good already. Once the stock is completely covered, I take the dry part of the rag and wipe off any excess. So even though it's not winter, I'm going to put this gun stock in my boiler room overnight because my hot water heater's in this room and it's always hot and dry in here. It's a very small room. I use it to dry meats, herbs, and gun stocks. Comes in pretty handy. Okay, I've let that sit overnight. Now we're going to put on the next coat. But here's the secret to that. Put your rag down and grab some double odd buck steel wool. This is the secret to applying linseed oil. Put a little on the steel wool and circular scrubbing. Just kind of buffing it in. This will really smooth out the wood and put a high luster shine on it. Do this for all your consecutive coats. And then just wipe off the excess and back into the drying room. Leave it for another night. Okay, I've repeated that process 3 times. That's 3 coats of linseed oil, applying it with the steel wool and buffeting it out, drying it overnight in the drying room. After the 3rd coat, I let the thing sit for a week. And this is what we've got. Now if you stopped right there, you would be fine. No one is going to look at this beautiful stock and say, man, that finish sucks. You could just keep it as it is. And buffeting it out with the steel wool, it just leaves it, it's just so soft to the touch. It's a nice shine. You could leave it there. We're going to take it a step further. I'm going to take a soft linen buffing wheel. What you see here, you would use this as a hobby wheel. It's about $4. And I'm going to quickly put this shine on the whole stock. That's just after a 15-minute session. And that is, I hope the camera's picking this up, but that is quite a difference from the raw drying of the linseed oil. And you don't have to spend 40 man-hours doing it. For me, this is just what takes it to the next level. I mean, it's really like a factory finish. That's nice. So for you guys that, you know, you like the look of linseed oil, but you don't like that tackiness, well, the heat of this buffing kind of cures that, gets rid of that tackiness, because it does heat up the stock. So I think we're ready for reassembly. Yeah, I'm pretty happy.
The way that you wander is the way that you choose. The day that you tarry is the day that you lose. Sunshine or thunder, a man will always wonder where the fair wind blows. Where the fair wind blows. The way that you wander is the way that you choose. The day that you tarry is the day that you lose. Sunshine or thunder,